Look, Nintendo Switch may have not had a killer year when it came to exclusive games, with Smash Bros. Notwithstanding, and an obvious standout in this list. But it's hard to deny that there were some absolutely amazing content to play on Switch this year across the board, even if you had to look a little bit harder and dig a bit deeper to find it. Now, as always, this list is subjective, and sure, your favorite game from this year may not make the cut. This list is also not going to be simply full of every Switch exclusive to release, because, well, I don't feel that's really a good summary for any system, is, just looking at what came out exclusively on a given platform. I played a ton of games on my Switch this year, and I think it's only fair to have an honest conversation about the whole gambit. Maybe another video can exist in the future about just the best of the best exclusives, but hey, that's enough grandstanding and preamble. Let's get right into the list. Number 10. The Octoline Expansion. The Octoline Expansion was a massive paid DLC for Splatoon 2, the first paid DLC in Splatoon 1 or Splatoon 2's history, and oh boy, did it deliver on the content. Over and over and over again did the single player just seem to be going on and on, adding a whole new race into the game with the Octolines themselves, and what felt like an actual true standalone single player campaign that, well, never really felt like it was coming to an end. It was so large, in fact, that it itself could have been its own standalone game, in addition to obviously adding the Octolines into the world of Splatoon and enabling people to play with them in multiplayer matches. Again, Splatoon 2 is the game that kept on delivering with its free content updates throughout 2018, but since it was a 2017 title, I wanted to focus just on the DLC itself, and while I haven't even finished the DLC in terms of the single player, I have to admit that the Octoline Expansion is one of the best and one of the prime examples of DLC done right. And yeah, DLC made this list because that's how good it is. Number 9. Torna DLC for Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Yes, I know, another DLC pack, and you might be thinking at this point, what is the point of a list that's just going to list a whole bunch of DLC for prior games? Well, when the DLC is this great, it deserves to be there. In fact, the Torna DLC is so good that it's arguably better than the original game it came from. They simplified and improved some of the battle mechanics that annoyed many people in the original release of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 in 2017. And they created a cohesive story around all of this that really made you drive forward. Unlike in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I personally felt like in this DLC that I constantly wanted to get to the next objective. Now, this is where you get into some of the pitfalls of the DLC, whereas if you just focused on the main objectives, you'd have to stop at some point because you didn't level up enough from those objectives to continue. You'd have to go do some of the side quests, and while some of the side quests are fun and everything, like in any RPG, they can get a little repetitive, but hey, the story itself made me want to go through that repetitiveness just to see what happens next. And now Torna itself is a prequel to the original game, and you do not need to play Xenoblade Chronicles 2 in order to understand what's happening in this game. So if you're someone like me who had only been through about the first chapter in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 before you jumped into the Torna DLC, let me just say the Torna DLC is so much better that it's going to make you not necessarily want to go back and play the rest of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 because it just doesn't feel as well. And even though it might not make the original game feel as good, it's hard to deny the consistent quality in this DLC. Number 8. Halla Night. This is a bit of a weird one, as this indie gem actually came out last year on other platforms. But damn it, we're not talking about those platforms, are we? It came out this year on Nintendo Switch, and I can't help myself but find a preference for this game over many others. I'm not even just talking about other indie gems, like Celeste, or even this year's must-own indie title in Dead Cells. No, even over some of Nintendo's offerings, like Mario Tennis Aces or Kirby Star Allies. I don't want to dive too deep into spoilers, but it's a platformer / action game that finds a great balance between both the platforming and the action. I have never been someone that is into the steepest of difficulties when it comes to my platforming preferences, which is why I can't beat like most user-created Mario Maker levels, and Celeste just doesn't do it for me compared to something like Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, and this game just has the right amount of it to make me feel satisfied. Of course, much of the game is combat and action focused, with an interesting story, which again, I don't want to dive too deep into because it's best experienced rather than talked about. It's considered a Metroidvania style game, but for some reason, I couldn't help but get similar feelings to what I had playing Zelda 2's Dungeons. The characters are absolutely charming, and it's honestly one of those games that is just the absolute perfect fit for me. Number 7. Fortnight, Paladins, and Warframe. Yes, I am bundling 3 games into one spot because I can, alright? It's no secret, of the 3, I enjoy Fortnite the most, but all 3 of them provide a sense of wonder and charm while, well, being free. All 3 of these games existed on other platforms, some of them long before 2018, but they all came to Switch this year, making them qualify as a 2018 Nintendo Switch title. Fortnite is just fun, a nice pick-up-and-play game I find perfectly suited to the Switch when you just want a quick play session. Paladins is what Overwatch is not, and that is available on Switch. You missed your shot at owning this platform, Activision Blizzard. Then there is Warframe, and while it's my least favorite of the 3, it's hard to deny that when it comes to semi-realistic visuals, this is arguably the most impressive looking game on the entire platform. It is Panic Button's finest piece of work, and the combat itself in this game is absolutely phenomenal. While not my kind of game, I get why people really love it, and I am willing to recognize greatness when it is before me. These are also 3 games that basically never end and will suck your life away. So good luck if you are just now getting into them. I'll see you in 2020. P.S. Arena of Valor is a thing too. Didn't play enough of it to get a good feel, but it's likely worthy of at least a mention alongside these 3. Number 6. Super Mario Party. In most years, a Mario Party game won't come close to touching a top 10 list for me, because party games to me are mostly a dime a dozen. Really fun, but usually an easily missable experience for most. Super Mario Party is a special case, even if 2 of my major gripes against it almost made me leave it off the list because of it. Seriously, Nintendo, only having 5 minigames playable online with 0 actual normal boards to play in 2018 is despicable. And forced motion controls when I can viably see a way to map every minigame to a standard controller, it screams laziness. But whenever I play this game, especially with my kids and my friends, I can't help but have some of the most fun I have had in a Mario Party game in over a decade. Not since Mario Party 5 have I had the sort of fun I am having, and whether it's the clever minigames or the fun boards, and Nintendo, please give us more of those boards via free DLC. Thanks. I don't want to say it's the best Mario Party game yet, but it definitely is the first to refine the Mario Party magic for me in a long time. So while Mario Party games usually wouldn't crack a list like this for me, refinding a lost magic is something I think is worth the number 6 spot all on its own. Number 5. Wolfenstein 2 The New Colossus. Yes, it's a 2017 title for the rest of the world, but the rest of the world wasn't playing this title while taking a dump. In spite of the low resolution and FPS drops at times, Panic Button ported another AAA quality gem, and few thought could be done on a tablet-like platform, let alone to a level that's actually enjoyable. It won't impress your graphic whore friends, especially in docked mode on a big 4K TV, but it will still be undeniably fun. And I have always had a soft spot for games that let me take out some Nazis. Not you. It's a single-player game in a world filled with multiplayer madness, including on this very list, and it's done in a way that to me screams masterpiece. I patiently await the next entry in the series, which has already been confirmed to be coming to Nintendo Switch. Number 4. Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. I don't know if this video is arriving before or after my review of these games land, but what I can say is this is the most fun I have had with a Pokemon game since the second generation, which is also my favorite generation of Pokemon games. Are they perfect? No. Will every Pokemon fan dig them? Of course not. But there is something magical about these games, despite the obvious nature that they were thrown together pretty quickly as a way to make some money off the Pokemon Go craze. Examples of this are all over the game, from it simply being an HD 3DS visual style with low poly shadows to the literal use of sprite imagery everywhere, just like the 3DS titles before them. A full-blown HD console game, you would have to believe, wouldn't be so asset reusing heavy. But in spite of this, I found the capturing mechanics to be way less tedious, and to the point, I enjoyed the more streamlined nature of progression. Call me a filthy casual, I really don't care. Overall, this game quickly climbed the ladder as one of the must-own titles for me on the Switch platform. Number 3. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate! Look, I'm one of the most casual Smash fans there is. The kind that pick it up due to all the crazy crossovers, less because I care to actually be good at playing the game. So I can poke holes and complain about things like my favorite mode, break the targets not being present, but it doesn't matter. Everyone is here. And this is a special occasion for a special game that has more content in it than any fighting game has in the history of the entire genre. The level of polish it all has, in spite of the roster size and the content, is astounding. And while it is not my favorite game this year, it's special and will reside at the top of each and every one of a Switch owner's must-have list for 2018 of their own. For many, this game alone may have made 2018 the best year yet for Switch. Number 2. StarLink, Battle for Atlas. StarLink is one of the only games not named NBA 2K to be a multi-platform AAA game that landed on Switch day and date with every other version of the game. I mean, can we at least love or hate this game? Give Ubisoft some credit for that? It's also arguably the best Star Fox game ever made. That is, if you're one of those people that chose to treat this game as a Star Fox game. Go ahead, I won't stop you. The Switch version is its own kind of special, because for what visual downgrades it has, and yes, this game is absolutely stunning on an Xbox One X, it makes up for it in spades with the Star Fox crossover content, which is exclusive to the Switch version. You can literally play the entire game as Fox McCloud in his famous R-Wing, and there is an entire story and several missions built around just Fox and his crew and, well, trying to stop Wolf. This is masterfully plugged right into the StarLink world in a way I didn't really think was possible when initially announced. The story itself is enthralling, though a tad predictable at the end, but the real treat of this game is in the gameplay. It's a truly open-world space exploration game with a ton of polish. I was going to bump this back a few spots due to the lack of enemy variety and side quest variety, but then they went ahead and released a free holiday update that, well, added a bunch of enemy variety and side quest stuff for free. Sure, this should have been their day one, but anyone who buys the game moving forward, and by the way, you don't have to pay $75 for the physical version anymore, and even the digital version is discounted time to time, you are getting way more content for your money than I did. The Toys to Life is a take-it-or-leave-it ideal for many, but there is something to be said about having a physical R-Wing just sitting in your gaming collection. This is, unfortunately, a game I fear isn't doing well due to all the steep discounts so soon after the game launched. But it's a game I really, really hope my audience doesn't miss the boat on. Number 1. Octopath Traveler.
But of course, Father. I am ready.
Octopath Traveler is not for everyone. Okay, I could say this about every game on this list, couldn't I? I was, and forever will be, an avid player of the SNES-style RPGs. There is just a charm to games like Final Fantasy II, Chrono Trigger, and Secret of Mana that I will never be able to forget and continually draw me back to them in spite of the fact that I typically don't really replay any other retro games but those three. Octopath Traveler has that same charm with modern twists and polish that lets me know it will be another game I'm going to be revisiting for decades. The 8 branching story arcs, the Unreal Engine 4 visual elements like the lighting and water, combined with the pixel art direction, the voice acting, though I want even more of it, give me more, and the absolutely unforgettable music.
Let's do.
There is a character in this game that I bet each and every one of you can connect to on some sort of personal level, even as the game itself sticks to some pretty stereotypical tropes in regards to the different classes. The combat system it uses isn't inherently revolutionary, but it's a new twist on a classic turn-based fighting style that naturally will make people think a lot about the team behind this game's prior games on 3DS, in Bravely Default and Bravely Second. And thankfully, the sales of this game have been so out of Square Enix's expectations that they have all but confirmed a sequel will be happening in the future. There are, as always, ways for this game to get better, such as having a larger overarching story connecting the 8 individual ones, but that's always something that can be explored the next time around. The feeling I get when playing this game is simply magical. And for that reason alone, it's the top Switch game for me in 2018.
But of course.
And that wraps up my top 10 Switch games from the past year. What a ride, huh? For a year, when even I said the Switch was lacking in some areas game-wise, it's undeniable that if you looked hard enough, there was actually plenty of games to play. This year, including many I didn't even bother to mention, as I didn't have enough experience with them for consideration. The only question that is left is, what is your top 10 Switch games from this past year? Videos like this are made possible through the support we receive on patreon.com/Nintendo Prime. When we reach our $500 stretch goal, top list videos like this will be coming out each and every single week. Until then, they will be released sporadically when I can fit them around my already busy schedule. No worries if you can't show that sort of support, however, as simply liking this video, sharing, and subscribing are just as important. Also, if you're thinking of subscribing, which you totally should, then you might as well enter our Nintendo Switch Super Smash Bros. Ultimate giveaway through the Gleam.io link down in the description. It is a 50,000 subscriber giveaway that is completely free to enter. When we hit 50,000 subscribers, we will be announcing the winner. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see all of you guys in the next one.